All right, here we go. Singletrack Session number 100.
Oh, that's right.
I waited. We did 99.5 last week because I didn't feel comfortable doing triple digits. A little monumental 100-miler. The 100th Singletrack Session, so 100 weeks.
Right.
Because this one we do once a week. Where the
that's
podcast
2 years.
That's
2 years of Singletrack Session.
Yeah, and wow. Yeah, it's almost 3 years of the podcast in October.
Getting close.
Yeah, so we're getting up there. So, I don't know, maybe do something cool for year 3 of the podcast. But yeah, Singletrack Session 100 here at the TrailManners podcast. Joel is back from Phoenix.
Yep. Down
there for a week tanning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Laying out by the pool.
That's all I did was tan. No. I was in class from 7 in the morning to 5:30 every day.
That's all right, though.
It was.
Hopefully it was AC.
Oh, gosh.
I think everything has to be AC down there.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, I got out of class, and it was like, this is a little hotter where we live, but not, like, super hot.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad.
So you just go to your cabana by the pool?
Yeah, I definitely didn't go to the pool, because the hotel I was staying in, I definitely didn't want to test my immune system in that pool.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, Band-Aids floating and stuff.
Yeah, that would be the better things that were floating in there. Yeah. When I was down there, they had a haboob come through.
Really?
You know what that is?
Nope.
It's a dust storm.
Okay.
It's one of those big dust storms that are really, really tall, right, and way wide. Okay. It was cool seeing. They had the helicopters out there flying and watching it roll through the valley. It was really neat.
Did you, get a good look at it?
I did not go outside.
You didn't go outside and just, sandblast yourself?
Dude, that's what it was like.
Exfoliation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was pretty neat to see that roll through, though.
That was pretty cool. A little something different.
Yeah, exactly.
How was the air down there? Did they get much? I mean, is the fires affected down there?
The air quality down there was better than what we're experiencing right now.
Jeez, it's bad right now.
It's bad right now. My throat's a little scratchy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So you're what is it? Step 2, level 2?
Yeah, so I went through that level 2 with stretch therapy, all done, learned some new, actually shouldn't say some, learned a lot of new stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Refined the touch. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next? Do you get
level 3? There's a level 3, and then there's a very sports-specific, high-level sports certificate that I can get.
So you have to do so many hours before you can do 3?
No, you got to do a case study.
Okay.
I haven't dug too deep into what that entails yet, but...
Well, I'll help you. Is it like a 24-pack case, or what kind of study do we do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'd be good with helping you with that.
I'm not sure. I'll sign up for the class this week probably.
Nice.
And I'll get the details on that.
Sweet. Is that back down in Phoenix?
Yeah.
You have to do that in winter.
Yeah, I'm going to do that the first week of December, so I cannot go to the capstone.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
That's going to break Turtle's heart.
I'm sure he'll get over it rather quickly.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even remember when Capstone is.
Probably not.
Yeah, Capstone is the 8th.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm registered for it.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that sports-specific stretch therapy class that weekend.
Oh, that's that one instead of the level 3?
Well, level 3 goes for a full week, and then they bookend it.
Oh, that's
sports
nice.
Therapy,
so you can do both, one in one shot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we get to work on some of those Phoenix area professional athletes. Probably that time of year be baseball players, I imagine, because the football guys and the hockey guys will be in season.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think Phoenix has an MLS team.
They don't. It's too hot.
Yeah. But they can play indoors, I guess.
They'd have to. Nice air-conditioned indoor place.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, yeah, because it's anytime I do the single track solo, it's not. I don't laugh at myself, so I say funny things because I do, and I'm
you
like,
can get like a little
laugh.
doll over here.
Oh, that's what I should do.
You should get a little blow up doll, and paint a little beard on it.
It's over. Oh, never mind. No, that's what I should. I get one of those buttons that just make giggle noises, or some sound effects. So it's like a old school like game show crowd. From
like the Gong Show almost.
Ho 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 yeah, something like that would be good. Or just hire laughers.
Yeah,
just invite people over.
We
You
get
sit there.
Intern laughers.
That'd be funny. What do you do that? What do you call it? Audition for it. Get some auditioners.
We could do that.
That'd be fun. Joel's back, and we just had our last episode again. It was Harrison Fluman. He is up in Washington right now. Got a few texts. His beautiful wife Brian sent me a text showing me that there is a pumpkin beer festival in Seattle in October. And she knows how much I love pumpkin beer. She sent it to me. She goes, see?
There wasn't enough sarcasm with that.
There wasn't?
No.
Well, because the next one will be better. She says, see, Aric, look. And I says, yeah, I think it's fake. I said, you know what? It's worth me going up there to make fun of all 3 people that show up. So it was pretty
I like
funny.
me a little bit of pumpkin beer, like a 6-ounce shot. And that's good for the year.
Gosh, I'm not into the pumpkin thing.
Pumpkin porter, 6 ounces and I'm good.
Well, it said, I think the poster that she sent me was like 100 and something pumpkin beers are going to be there.
That's too
and I'm
bad.
like, that's a lot of breweries wasting time.
Yeah, right?
You don't need that many.
That's a lot of pumpkin pies that are not being made.
Yeah, that's the only pumpkin thing I can eat is pie.
Yeah.
Because I don't do the fancy drinks during Han Solo season.
No, that's a Turtle Miller thing.
Yeah, he's digging the
pumpkin lattes.
Spice, PSLs.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was for pumpkin spice latte.
Lattes, yeah.
I didn't know people post PSL time. I'm like, what does that mean? Emma, what is that? Soccer team?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're up there, and it was kind of funny is the day before they left, she said the UPS driver pulled up to their house.
Yeah.
Was delivering a package.
Uh-oh.
And this was on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And she says he took his headphone out and says, I'm listening to your husband's podcast right now.
That's awesome.
How funny is that?
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I didn't know he had a UPS fan.
I didn't either. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know who it was? She goes, no, but it was really cool. So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. And then we also had, so I brought this, you weren't aware of this because you weren't here, and sometimes I just get silly. But I said, hey, I'm going to start, we have, when we do our podcasts on Tuesdays, which have been hit or miss, we end with a little catchphrase.
Right.
And so I said, why don't people send me in some of their favorite quotes?
Oh, yeah.
And we'll close Singletrack with somebody's quote.
Okay.
And so I only had one person send in quotes. He sent 3, and I'm picking my favorite out of it. So we'll close with that. But last weekend, we missed you, El Vaquero.
Yeah, I was sad. That's the only thing I was kind of like bummed about. Like the whole Phoenix thing, so worth it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, but I miss Vaquero.
It was really weird because...
And I heard Vaquero was terrible. You guys shouldn't go next year.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
In fact, Ty was talking about limiting to like 20.
Yeah, and...
no burgers or soda.
Right.
I'm
not doing like
hoodies.
Automatic entry. He's going to limit the number of Utahns that are allowed to come. And I get automatic.
You get automatic.
Yeah,
You're like bib number 1.
Exactly.
It was such a fun weekend because I had no stress.
Right.
I got up there later Friday. I went to the burger joint and just got a big old greasy burger and a shake.
Weren't worried one bit, were you?
Nope, I wasn't. I'm like, this will work. And then I hung out and saw tons of people. And I hate to say sometimes, like, it's just, I think it's a thing you say automatically in your head. But it's like, that was, like, I met some new people, right? People we've never met. And a lot of people we have. And I hung out, and I'm going to apologize to Amy and Seth right now from Vermont. They came all the way out here. Took them 9 days. They took a trip, went through all these beautiful places.
Dude, they stopped in like the Laramie area and did a run in my old hood.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were going everywhere, but I hung out with them Friday night and Saturday night.
Right.
Like at their campsite. I'm like, I know you guys are, kind of on your own, but...
They're kind of like on their second honeymoon, right?
Look
and
at
you're
me.
Like crashing
Oh,
it.
totally.
They're wheeler all the way.
I went over there and hung out with them Friday night. Had so much fun, and I mean, like I said, talked to a lot of people, but they came all the way from Vermont. And they didn't like kick me out or set up like electric fence around it. So I'm like, I must be welcome back.
There you go.
And so I just came in the back way.
Yeah, you went the back door, huh?
Yeah, through the woods. And man, it was so awesome to meet them. Just talk about 2 unique people.
Right.
Amy does teaching immersion in the outdoors.
Right.
So she puts a thing to get kids outside to learn.
Yeah.
So she teaches teachers essentially to get kids outside. You can do math outside, and then she does some other outdoor stuff, which is really cool. But Seth, he was whittling, which I thought I used the word because I think it's funny.
You might need to define that because I think some of that younger generation doesn't know what that means.
Whittling is where you grab a piece of wood
yes.
and a pocket knife.
Yes.
And
what's a pocket knife?
Pocket knife is
some
a
kids
knife
might know what that
is in your pocket.
It folds.
It folds. It's kind of explanatory where it's in your pocket.
Gotcha. It's small enough to fit in your pocket.
Yeah, they used to have the old timer. What was that one brand? Oh, there was a brand that my dad had. What was the name? It'll come to me.
All right.
But yeah, he was sitting there just like with his hand and just cutting this piece of wood. It was like a small block. I'm like, what are you making? He's like, oh, a bird. And he was trying to explain it to me, but my mind doesn't do artsy stuff.
Right. So
I'm like, I don't. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
But I don't get it. But anyway, he restores historic barns.
Right.
So he works on barns from like the 1800s in Vermont by himself. Like no one helps him, and they don't use like bolts and screws and metal.
So no current technology.
No, and so you try to match it up based on. He was like, there was like, English builders, and there's different styles they all had, and
different
it's
periods.
just so amazing. And just hearing his stories, but he made me and my daughter Aspen these I mean, you saw them, these little birds.
I came in, I was like, oh, what are these?
Yeah, well, I'm sitting at their table on Saturday, and like, hey, look at those birds behind you. And I thought they were real birds, and I turned around, I'm like, you got to be kidding. And he just whittled both of them, like, within a day.
Right.
And they're crazy, wicked cool. But hung out with them. They brought me some gin, brought you some maple syrup.
Yeah.
And just had a great time. Just two amazing people that I would have never known about without the podcast. So that was fun. Got my selfie game picked up. Got some tips and tricks on selfies.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little crazy there. Andrea, Megan, met them for the first time. Yeah, there's just too many people to name. There were so many people.
Right.
But it was awesome. I mean, just all over. Saw, like you mentioned, a lot of people from Utah.
Right.
Hung out with Power Stash a little bit.
That's always a pleasure.
I only paid him like $15 for the selfie, so that was I felt pretty cheap.
That's his going rate?
Yeah, it was cheap. I think he gave me a discount.
That's the friends and family discount?
Yeah, $15.
Gotcha.
Hung out with Luke. It was just a blast. I mean, Ty always puts on a great race. There's some people who got their 5-year buckle, which was really cool.
Right.
But yeah, it was beautiful. A little bit of smoke. Didn't get real hot like it'd done in the past.
Okay.
So I think I could have finished like 10 minutes earlier than probably years past. But super fun. And I know everybody's like, "Where's Joel?" I'm like, I know.
I know.
But yeah, it was Trevor Fuchs won it.
I am really surprised.
He crossed the finish line, and he looks at me and goes, yeah, that course. He looks at me and goes, yeah, you lied. That course sucks. And I'm like, my eyes got real big. I'm like, really? He goes, no, it was amazing. I'll be back for sure.
I thought he was hurt and injured.
He's 6 weeks post-surgery.
Oh, okay.
And so he's not 100%.
Right. He still goes out and win.
Yeah.
Punk.
Yeah. So he won in 5:29.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah, he did pretty well for sure. I mean, the course record's Luke at 4:55, but there's only been 5 winners of this race.
Good point.
And so he's in the category, Luke. Someone said, yeah, it's like Luke and Schlarb, Reddish. Power Stash hasn't won it.
Oh, Power Stash, did you hear that?
Oh, called out. He volunteers too much.
He does.
He's not good. He's not good at directing parking, though.
I could see that.
I was with him in the first car that came up, and they weren't supposed to go a certain direction, and they went that way. He goes, well, that didn't work. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, Trevor won, and one of our favorites, Erin Hill, won for the ladies, 6:26.
Holy cow, it's fast.
Yeah, she did really well, and there's something else we'll get with her a little bit later in the show, but a lot of fun. That was the 50K. 25K, man, I was a little surprised at them coming through. The winner was Joe Wilson in 2:29.
Holy cow.
Which is solid. And then Corbin Talley here locally, he came in 2:31. It was like
nice.
Boom, boom. Right away. And on the ladies' side is Addie Stewart. First real trail race ever.
Whoa.
Yeah, and she won
Way to pick an easy one.
She won in 3 hours flat.
That's really good.
And she's friends with some of our friends. Misty Alessandri, she's friends with them. So she came up, and I was talking to her, and I'm like, that's amazing. And they offered her sandals, a racing pack, and some Jaybird earbuds. And she's like, what do you want? She goes, the sandals. She goes, I'm never going to run again. Because she's a mountain biker and she doesn't like running. And so she won it.
That's unfair.
Right? Isn't that crazy? She crushed. I mean, she killed it. Looked great, too. It wasn't like she came to the finish. It was like, oh, my gosh. She was like, hey, so was that it?
Oh, I don't like her now.
Yeah. She is super funny. Yeah, second place female came in like almost half hour behind her.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it really wasn't even close. But she was super funny. Yeah, just a crazy amount of people there that we got to see. I was flipping burgers most of the time, thanks to our friend Grant. He stuck me on Burger Patrol, which was fun, though.
It is. You get to talk to a lot of people that way.
I did, and I smelled super tasty for like 2 days.
Sure you did.
Man.
Right up in those pores.
It was caked in, except I did cook a few veggie burgers.
Did you? Just to kind of make yourself feel a little better?
Well, no, because people wanted them.
Right.
And so they're like, hey, do you have any veggie? I'm like, yeah.
I like me a good veggie burger.
And I've never really cooked them, so I'm first person that came through. I'm like, can you let me know if that was cooked? Yeah. So I know how to cook them. Like, I know how to cook a meat burger. It was a lot of fun. Great people. And thanks for everybody that came up and said hi. People I met for the first time. It was a lot of fun. Brian, I met him. He's from Utah, and we had a long conversation the first night, just talking about the podcast. So that was a lot of fun. We also had, last weekend there was the Angeles Crest 100.
That's old school.
That's an old school one. And I don't think from what I remember, I didn't see a lot of fire. I don't know how the smoke and air was for them.
True.
But
they've had a lot of problems with that in the past.
Yeah. Darcy, she won that one.
Right.
Just a couple weeks after coming back from Andorra in 22:17. And she also won hurt. She's having a killer year, man.
Yeah.
Again.
Low key.
Yeah, right?
flying under the radar.
Just quietly crushing things.
Yeah, she can get Ultra Run of the Year.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of...
I mean, Courtney is still...
Yeah.
If Courtney's got to win one more big race, and she'll get it, right?
Yeah.
But if she doesn't, my money's on Darcy.
But again, what else happens the rest of the year,
That's
too?
what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go back because this is awesome. So our friend Sylvia Greer,
yes,
she ran the Palisades 100, like 30+ hours because that's tougher than hell.
Yeah,
and then she came and ran the 55K at El Vaquero the next weekend.
Did she really?
And when she didn't even look like she went walking in the mall.
Dude, she's another level of toughness.
She is, and she was so smiley and happy the whole time. It's like, quit it. Yeah. Just let me know that you're kind of sore,
right?
Or you're kind of tired.
You're suffering a little bit.
Yeah, but she's just like, hey, I was walking around. So I had to go back to that because that was pretty funny. But on the men's side, Rene Durantis won in 1923, Angeles Crest. So that was a pretty good race. But they also had the Tromsø Sky Race, hand on, hands and feet.
That's where that Hillary Allen got hurt last year, right?
Yep, and that's man, some of the pictures on that. It's wet. You're in the clouds, and it's like your hands and feet. It's a 4-point stance on a lot of that stuff.
No fall zone.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the results on that one. That was a big one.
Lots of pronouncing that would be
a little hard for me.
Right, lots of Euro names.
I'm challenged there. But Tushers is back here in Utah, which is a tough Mamba Jamba. So that was back this year. They have a 100K, a 70K, a marathon, 26.2 and a half marathon. A lot of fast times there for both the men and the women. Megan Hicks won the female in the 100K in 16:43, just barely an hour and change behind the first place male. But it's really like the 100K, there was only 23 finishers.
Right.
But they got on this so late this year that I was surprised.
Yeah.
Because that was quite a few. I mean, you get some of those shorter distances, and they generally do. They had a couple more, registered for that race. But that's a tough race, and I haven't done it just knowing the area and talking to people, but also beautiful locations. So
maybe a marathon would be okay down there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for me. Yeah,
but not anything longer.
That would work me, I think, a little too hard. But next weekend, the Sierra Zinal, and I probably say that wrong.
I think you said it right.
Did I? If I didn't, that's as close as people are going to get.
I think that's how Killian pronounces it.
Then it's right.
Yeah.
I'm just going off what the Hornet tells me. So we had a Skype call the other day, talking about Build-A-Bears, and that's what he came up with. But that's in Switzerland, 31K. Man, I'll tell you what, this is going to be super competitive, men and women.
Right.
Like there's some, on the women's side, you have Ida Nilsson, Ruth Croft, who just came on Speed Goat here, Megan Kimmel. She took second in 2015. There's just a lot of fast women. And on the men's side, Yowza, Joe Gray, Killian, Max King, just to name a very small few. So you got to go with Killian, though.
Yeah.
Because you have to. If he's in any race, if you don't pick him,
right,
it's because you don't like him or something. And even if you don't like him, you'd have to pick him if you were smart. So but that's going to be a good one. That's always a good one every year over in Switzerland. So we'll throw that one out there for a race next weekend. And then did you get the email? I have to bring this up because I got to tip my hat to the Bear 100 people.
Oh, yeah, I did. I like what they're doing.
I like that. And I think Wasatch should take a look at that. I know they've limited aid stations because of numbers, but this might be a way you can tweak that. I don't know.
I like it. How you can easily get around that, couldn't you? You can just write the...
Well, they give you an extra bib, an actual bib for the race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have to have the actual bib. So
gotcha.
The Bear 100 is a super crew and pacer-friendly course.
It is.
But there's some aid stations that in the past get a little crowded because it's not
a little nutty.
Yeah, with driving and everything. So this year... whoever came up with this, it's like, finally.
You're like,
people are thinking outside the box. Exactly.
10 years ago.
So they have parking problems at Right Hand Fork and Temple Fork aid stations.
Right.
So if your runner is an even number, you're going to be allowed into Temple Fork, which is mile 44.
Yeah.
If you have an odd number, they're into Right Hand, which is mile 37.
Yeah.
So they are 7 miles apart, but you don't. And most people go to both because it's so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a 10-minute drive.
It's really nice to see your crew at both.
Yeah, it is, because it's not easy. But because of the crowds, I mean, it's in a canyon for one, and then these are little side roads you're going up, so it does get really crowded.
Except for Temple. Temple is Right off the highway.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, it's off the highway.
But that has a lot of parking issues because the road that goes up, and that one's always a nightmare with parking.
Right.
So, yeah, they're going to put an extra number in your race bag that your crew will put on their dash so they can get in and out of these aid stations.
Right.
Which I think is, and it's only for those two, right? So it's not a big thing.
Right.
I'm super interested to hear how it goes.
I bet it'll go fun. I bet you there's going to be some really angry crew people.
Well, this is where I think the runners, you have to talk to your crew.
Yep.
And this isn't like debatable. It's not. Yeah. It's just this is the rule and this is what it is, right? Like I really hate to see people abuse it.
Right.
Like, hey, I'll swap you numbers and do this. You know?
Yeah, right.
I can see people already thinking of that far ahead.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? Oh, my runner's 39, you're 40. Let's.
Right.
Well, you know.
They really need to do the same thing for Tony and Franklin.
Tony gets nutty in that
There's
up there.
no parking in Tony.
Especially where they've changed it, where you don't all go all the way to the lake. They got that little side road. That can get screwy. Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. Yeah. Right? Because that's always been the thing. At the Bear, you can be everywhere. But
you used to be everywhere, but now there's so many people coming up to spectate.
Yep, there are. And just hanging out.
Yeah.
For hours.
It's fun to hang out. I get it. I understand.
I did it last year.
Yeah.
No, I definitely get it. But, yeah, like you said, I just really do, man. I can't stress this enough. I hope the runners
respect it.
And it's not you runner flat out. If you're running, you just got to flat out tell this is the rule.
You got to be mentally prepared not to have a crew at that aid station.
Yeah, and
right.
Like you said, it'd be nice to have them at both.
Yeah.
But as we've talked,
at right hand, it's going to be hot afterwards, and it can be a little bit hot from Cali. The right hand, it can be really hot. I mean, you are running through the trees.
Yeah.
But it kind of gets like that heat sinks in the trees.
Yeah.
And as soon as you pop out of the trees, you got maybe a mile before the aid station. It gets really hot right there.
But I mean, you get drop bags and you have aid stations.
I agree, but I'm just looking at it from maybe a less experienced runner point of view.
Well, I mean, so if you are one of those people Jill's mentioning, there are people there to help you.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And there's other crew as well. Like, if you came into one of those aid stations and you needed something, someone is going to help you.
They will.
If someone else's crew, I mean, that's just part of the game.
Right.
But I think it's a genius idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've got it from another race, so there might be other races that do this. This is the first time I've heard of it.
Right.
But I read the email, and I thought, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's super easy, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just hope more people respect it, like Joel said, because we just hear more and more. I mean, we had debates on the Hard Rock thing, and that's gone on for weeks. I can still get emails and talk to people.
Yeah.
And last week I just finally said, listen,
I'm
done, and here's my last comment.
Mm-hmm.
The runner shouldn't have put the race director or the committee in that position.
Nope.
So it still falls back to the runner. I'm done.
Yes.
I mean, I don't feel bad. I do. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I do on one level because that does suck, but you know what you're doing. That's the way it goes. But even through social media, I've seen a few more people talk about people cheating with races lately, and it just really bothers me. Angeles Crest, did you see what they did before their race? They had 2 new forms come out for their runners. They had to initial with rules and stuff, and we talked about it. It's like that's kind of where we're going.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just more for race directors to think about.
It is,
for everything. Mm-hmm. So congratulations, or I shouldn't say that. I should say way to go, Bear 100.
That's right.
For bringing that up. I think that's really cool. I'm looking forward to see how it goes. For me, I don't have a crew or pacers for the race, so it doesn't affect me in any bit.
No.
Right? But I know, like you said, there might be some that it would, and if it does, just plan like you can't have them there, like any other race, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a lot of races you can't have crew or pacers for that matter. Let's see. One we've talked about a little bit because today is August 9th, so we're launching today right after the show. I'll put this, but a race I've always wanted to do, Orcas Island 50K Lottery is open.
Oh.
It opened on the 1st, and it runs till tomorrow, the 10th, Friday. And
now, is the Orcas Island 50K, is that the one that's in February?
Yeah,
okay.
February 2nd. It's one that James puts on Rain Shadow Running.
Right.
And up at, there's been so many races lately. Beaverhead. I talked to Natalie Sheffield because she was talking about, so she put her name in.
Oh, for Beaverhead?
No, for Orcas.
Orcas.
Because it's a place I've always wanted to do a James Varner race.
Yeah.
Because he's the stud. And I've always wanted to do Orcas. And I talked to Gabe Joyce, and he's like, if you do one, do the 50K.
Okay.
He says you pretty much see everything.
All right.
And you can enjoy it. So I went on. I didn't realize it was such a cool island with, like, cool hotels if you wanted. So I've got one day to decide if I'm going to put in for the lottery.
You should.
It's $100. and you don't have to pay. You're not charged unless you get in.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, I got till February to go fund me an account to get me up to Anacortes to take the ferry.
You gotta get a flight into Seattle. And you gotta take the.
I can take the rail.
You gotta get an Uber or something.
You can take a rail up to Anacortes. So right from the airport, you can get on the the Amtrak. Okay. That's what it is. Amtrak's pretty cheap.
All right.
And take it to Anacortes, jump on a ferry.
All right.
Go that route. So I got just basically today to figure out if I'm going to put in for that one or not.
All right.
But I'm not like looking at a ton of races coming up, but that's one. I don't just see myself running on Orcas Island.
That's been on your bucket list for years.
Years and years. And it's could do two birds with one stone. I want to do a Varner race too.
There you go.
And that's, I don't know, I can't, everything I've heard about it and the pictures, it's just got to be ridiculous. So if you're thinking about it, don't put in, just in case I do, because I don't know how many they let in. There's like 300 right now in the lottery.
Right.
So I think the chances are pretty good.
Sounds good so far.
But I don't know how many they let in.
Well, if they let like 3 people in, your chances are not so good.
No, but neither are their chances of making any money.
Right.
So I'm thinking like 150.
Gotcha.
Right in there is my guess, but I don't.
Now is that just for the 50K, or is that for
That's
all?
That's just for the 50K, because there's a 25K, and then they have 100, but I think the 100's a weekend before or after.
Oh,
I don't think the 100's on the
idea.
same weekend anymore, which, there's no way I'd think about doing 100 on February 2nd.
Not with that loop after loop after loop.
Well, not even just because I couldn't train through the winter good enough to do something like that.
Right.
So I think a 50K is doable in February.
Sure, you can slog enough miles to tough that out.
And I've cleared it with my daughter. That's her birthday, Groundhog Day, and so I've cleared it with her.
Okay.
She'll be 22, so she's kind of over that.
Oh yeah, you don't need to throw a party.
Yeah, and so I think her, she'd probably do something anyway. So I think I've got the clearance there to miss it. So. What else we got going on? So I'm gonna reminisce a little bit, just because yesterday 8/8 was 30, and this made me feel super old. Like I feel old until this. 30 years ago, myself and 21 other soccer players, we broke the world record. We set out on a 8/8/88 to break the world record for longest soccer game.
Right.
We went 75.5 hours, so we ended on the 11th. Last night, a group of us got together at my high school coach's house.
Oh, nice.
Just to kind of swap stories.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's some people we couldn't track down, and some people couldn't make it. It was a Wednesday night, but there's a handful of us there, and eating and hanging out in the backyard. It was pretty fun.
Right
like
on.
I'm not a huge reunion guy.
Yeah.
Like my high school reunions, I've been to a couple.
Have you?
Next year they're doing a cruise for the 30th, which I haven't paid for.
Terrible.
It's weird. I mean, there's a Facebook page, so like people are like, Aric, you need to come, Aric, you need to come, and it's a good deal. It's 7 days.
I'm sure it's a great deal, but do you want to be that close to those people for 7 days?
Well, there's one person, and I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to stand. But there's one person, this guy, I would love to hang out with because he went in like special ops where he was like burning coke fields in Colombia, like one of those type of dudes.
Right.
I would love to hang out with him. I want to hear those stories. Like, yeah, he's a badass. But yeah, it was just pretty fun. Like, if I had to pick, this would be the group, right? I was closer to him,
right?
And where we share this common bond, and it was a blast catching up. And it's just funny to see like their kids are playing soccer and getting scholarships to universities.
Right.
It was just pretty cool. So I just want to give a shout out. I know most of them probably don't listen to this. I know a couple do, but that was pretty sweet. And I remember that was the first time. I mean, when you're 17, you're stupid. Right?
Yes, you are.
And it might have been a good thing.
Yeah.
Like we were too stupid to realize what we were doing.
There's no way better. Right?
Yeah, because like, oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Because you get, you play an hour, you get a 5-minute break.
Right.
So at one point we played 6 straight hours, so we got 30 minutes of a break. No subs.
Right.
And so you're just out there the whole time. But yeah, when he was showing, we had like our scrapbook and we have a video and everything, just reminiscing. And I'm like, holy cow, that doesn't look like you. That doesn't look like you. It was pretty fun. So. Little nostalgia on this end because it was such a big part of the life, and not thinking of it till a few years ago kind of resembles ultra running, just staying awake on your feet for a long time and hallucinating. This week we're going to do a quick Strava, and then Joel is the picker for the Woody Footy. So Strava this week, or this past week I should say, was pretty cool. We have, so on our Strava followers, we're up at 504 people, which is pretty solid. But last week, a gentleman Christian Morgan, 217.8 miles last week.
That's not kilometers?
No, 54 hours and 20 minutes, and he took second in climbing at 52,000. Grant Geis beat him from New Zealand for 64,900.
What were those guys doing?
So I did do some stalking.
Okay.
Because I'm like, okay, 217, 54 hours, come on. He was with some dude on the AT.
Oh, okay.
Some dude was on the AT trying to, this guy's from London.
Right.
Too, but they were on the, was it the AT? Was that? Yeah, Appalachian Trail World Record attempt.
Okay.
Carl Sabb, I'm guessing, or something similar to that. Karel Sabbe.
Right.
Was going, and I don't know how that's working out because there have been so many. But so, yeah, he's kind of pacing him, doing 40, 50 miles a day.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, that's legit. I get that. But Grant, on the climbing, I looked into that a little bit. So he's from New Zealand.
Yeah,
and
he's legit.
He's a badass.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. But he, 64,000. And I couldn't get a little peg on why. You know what I mean? It's like, what were you doing?
9,000 feet every day, basically.
Yeah, I mean, here it is. 8,000 one day, 5,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Wow.
These are like more than once
Getting
a day.
ready for like UTMB or something.
He's got to be. That's the only thing I could think of on that. But a big week for the Strava people, for the TrailManners group, I should say. Let's see, what was the... Because Grant was first, and then that guy that did the AT was second. And still, second place was 147 miles. Third was 120 miles. So people are, Matt Ozanek was time in 31:17.
Whoa. What, is that High Lonesome?
He did High
Gotcha.
Lonesome. Finished that, so congratulations, Matt. That was super cool to see the photos and of Chris taking you through and all the updates. So great job there. Long-time listener, really great guy. We met at the Bear last year, him and his wife. But yeah, we'll let Joel take over. His week, I did 2 in a row for WDYFTY. And, it was pretty fun. So Joel gets to pick, and I had an idea where this week may go.
Yeah, right.
But then you stamped it.
Yeah.
So what's WDYFTY look like for this week?
We had to go with something
this is 100.
From Vaquero Loco.
Okay, and that's just gorgeous.
That was
anyway.
a given, right?
Yeah.
We had to go with something from Vaquero Loco for somebody that has not won. So that was the challenge.
Yep.
So Jessica Taylor.
Nice.
She won. Great photo of the high country of the course.
And I talked to her quite a bit after, and that was her longest run.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and she looked great at the finish. It doesn't look like she was work. She was there with a bunch of friends, but she was saying how beautiful it was. She wants to come back. Just a great. I love El Vaquero, man.
Would you stop saying that?
I can't help it. And you know what's funny? I didn't come away with a hoodie.
I think we've oversold
anything. I know. That's the bad thing. Is there's so many people this year it sold out in March. That's never happened that early.
Yeah.
It hasn't sold out for a few years. Last few years it definitely has, but yeah, it was wicked cool. But yeah, next year it's gonna be on a Sunday night. So
yeah. Y'all might not just want to come, just stop.
Yeah, and they're training bears that weekend there.
Okay, then I'm not coming.
We did get one Ask TrailManners.
All right.
We didn't have one last week, which is okay because I was solo, and I probably would have led you astray. But it's a little bit longer, so here we go. So, hey guys, it's been a bit of a rough summer in terms of schedule and circumstances.
Yes.
My running hasn't been nearly as frequent as I'd like to be. Frequent.
Okay.
Sorry, that was me. He did it right. I'm signed up for my first 50-mile race on September 1st.
Ooh.
By most accounts, I'm nowhere near ready.
Wait, do we know what race this is?
I don't.
Okay.
It doesn't say on here. There's also a 30-mile and 16-mile option.
Ooh, we'll do the 16.
I know I could do the 16-mile. The 30-mile would be tough at this stage. The 50-mile is going to suck at times, possibly the last 45 miles.
Wait a minute. Did you pen this letter?
Huh?
Is this like an anonymous letter that you
No, there's a name.
Okay.
Yeah. The RD offers the option to drop down in distance up to a week before the race.
Okay.
My trail and ultra running friends are all on board for me giving it a go. A DNF doesn't freak me out if it were to happen. I'm about 95% convinced to go for it and not drop down in distance.
Gotcha.
This being the case, I'm legitimately going to have to taper up. I've not even run a double-digit run in about 4 months.
Oh, shoot.
There's an overall 12-hour cutoff for the race, with some hard cutoffs at aid stations later in the race.
Right.
So any suggestions? And this is from Steve England.
Steve England?
So.
Oh, yeah, he got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, so I read this, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But then when I read that last part about not a double-digit run in 4 months, that's when my mind changed. Like, my wheels turned a different direction.
Yeah. 30-miler at the most.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I think.
I would be honest. I mean, if we were being adults and being responsible, 16.
When we've done that.
I know, right?
We only do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with Joel. I would, if I didn't know that last thing, I would say you could try for that 50, right?
12 hours is.
But I think Steve lives
fast 50-miler.
It is, even for a flat 50, right?
Really? I think 12 hours? Maybe that's a typo.
I don't think so, because I know
12-hour cutoff for 50 miles.
Yeah, because I'm thinking
Dude, that's fast.
Well, I mean the Buffalo run. I'm just thinking like time I ran the 50, like 10 hours maybe, and that's flat. So yeah, 12's a hard cutoff.
That's a hard cutoff. That's a scary cutoff.
And I don't know much about the course, if it's loop, if whatever it is. But yeah, I would say 30, just because you don't want to come away injured.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
You don't want to come away, especially if you've been fighting injuries or circumstances. You don't want to come away from it like a 50-miler. Get just totally knackered because sometimes you might just fight through it and then not be able to run for 4 weeks.
For 4 months.
Yeah. And then again, I mean, I don't know. I just think I would go for the 30.
Yeah.
Because you can finish it. You can still finish it. You don't have to worry about.
If he can taper up between now and then.
Oh yeah, he's got to. Let's see, September 1st. That only gives him a few weeks.
3 weeks.
So I would say the 9th.
That's a 10. That's a 10. A 20 and a 20-mile weekend. So,
so
10 this weekend, 20 next weekend, and then 20 the following weekend.
Well, if he does 20 on the 25th, that's 1 week out from the race.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's a total taper up.
So what I would do, like if it was me, I would do like the weekend of this, not this coming weekend, but like the weekend of 17, 18, 19, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would do 2 long runs. And I don't mean 20 and 20. I would maybe do a 20 and a 10.
Oh, yeah.
A 20-15, a 15, a
15. No, you need to do a 20.
You do need to do a 20. But I would do 2 longer runs for sure, and then just try and get even some shorter ones, even during the week if you get a 10-miler in the morning or night.
You have to get a 10-miler in during the week.
Just regular runs because, I mean,
Keep running 4 days a week at least.
Yeah, from here until then.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would do
if
it was me, and trust me, I've been in this situation before, so I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's pretty, but, and again, I mean, it depends on the race. If it's a lot of running, then you just want to run a lot, That's just what you got to do. It's just not, because if we do races here where we have a lot of mountains, some days we might do some power hiking.
Yeah. That's the vacuum
out
in the hallway.
I'm like, what's going on? But you might do some power hiking. But I think there you just run, time on your feet.
Yeah.
Just find whatever similar type of terrain if you can get on the course. I don't know where it's at.
Right.
And just run. You got to get some double digits and at least a 20-miler.
And that'll tell you.
Yeah.
Which direction you should go.
So if he gives you a week out, you could do a 20-miler the week of the 18th weekend, and you would know. If you finish that and felt decent, you can say, I can do the 30. If you don't, you can say, I'll do 16.
Agree, don't do the 50.
Yeah, I would say not do the 50.
No.
Just not saying you can't, like you wouldn't be able to, but I think coming away, if you've had a rough year and any injuries, you just don't want to be hurt. Because you could easily do that, being out there. Because you're going to be, especially if they have tight cutoffs at aid stations. Right. There might be a point where you try and push it at some level to make sure you hit those, not just the 12-hour, but the other ones, and we'd hate to see a setback even further.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not, because you can always come back and do it next year if it's that big a deal. So that's our superb expert advice, Steve.
That was very adult of us.
That was, because usually we'd say, oh yeah, do the 100. No, but I would give yourself a good test on the weekend of the 18th, and that should be your decision maker. Like if you can do a 20-miler and come away feeling decent,
but then follow it up with another 10-mile.
10, but
see how you feel.
Yeah, I'd say even if you felt good after 20, though, I would say do the 30 regardless. Right. But if you do the 20 and you were pretty knackered, then you really got to think about.
You got to drop that 16. Just have fun.
And don't let your friends pressure you, because that's easy to do.
Oh yeah.
Because you can they can pressure you now to run a long race,
right,
or you can't run with them for long time training.
That's a good point.
Hang out with them there. So that's our thing. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask on that. Like I said, we don't know the race, but still, 50 miles is 50 miles, and if this overall 12-hour cutoff, seems pretty legit.
That's tight.
Yeah. If you're 95% convinced to go for it and not drop down the distance, we'll be that 5% that's on the other shoulder. Yeah, we'll be on that other shoulder, that 5%. Because we just don't like seeing people get hurt, because we've done that as well. Or just where you just can't, even if you don't get hurt, but you can't run for weeks because you're just not in the mood, banged up, sore. That just kind of takes the fun out of it, too. Yeah, so I think that's it. We don't have a whole lot more to discuss.
Nope.
But this is episode 100 of the Singletrack Session, so like Joel said, that's 2 years worth of Thursdays.
It is.
And I don't know, if I went back, we'd probably see, but I don't know if we really missed maybe one, maybe
just
two.
A couple at the most.
Yeah, of the Thursday ones, because those are easier to schedule.
They are.
Here's the thing. All right, I'll get this out there, because I got asked this multiple times this weekend.
Okay.
And in the past. So Tuesdays, people have asked me, are you guys not doing as many Tuesday shows because you don't have guests? And the answer to that is no. There's people out there. It's just our schedules most of the time.
Yeah.
Because, see, on Thursdays, me and Joel work a schedule because we live close by.
Right.
On the Tuesdays, it's a matter of me and Joel and a third party working a schedule out.
And in the past, we've been really sticklers about not doing phone interviews.
Yeah.
Right? It's just uncomfortable. You don't get the cue. It doesn't flow as well. So that's one of the reasons we don't do phone interviews. And then just for certain reasons, we just don't have as much free time anymore.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
So we will probably be doing some phone because you have to.
Right.
But it's not for lack of people to talk to. But if you do have ideas, still send them our way, because I have a list going on it for sure. But I've had people ask me, "Do you just have no one to interview?" No, there's a lot of people out there, great stories. It comes down to a timing thing, for sure.
It's a scheduling issue.
Yeah, and it's just harder to just get 3 people on the right schedule as opposed to 2. And then again this summer, like I've been traveling a lot more, than Joel has as well, so it's a little bit different that way too. But we'll be back on Tuesdays, pretty consistent. So yeah, again, those that have good quotes, send them in. Okay.
So what's your quote this week?
So this closing quote for the Singletrack Sessions comes from John K. And I don't know if I should say names all the way. I don't know if people want to mind or not.
Let's go just first name unless you know them well enough to say their last name.
And they're good. They're a listener. They sent a few in, but this is the one I picked because it's funny. And that's what we're about. So send your quotes in to me, manners@trailmanners.com. Also, real quick, Jessica that won, send me your address so we can get you your hat. I don't want to forget that. Closing quote for the single track, our very first closing quote, Singletrack Session number 100. Here we go from John K. Never kick a fresh turd on a hot day. Pretty solid. It's great advice. Yeah, great advice. There's a couple other ones we might use in the future, but that was the one I picked for the week that he sent 3 in. So other than that, this is Aric and Joel. This is Singletrack Session number 100, and we will be back next week. And send us your questions for Ask TrailManners as well, and we'll get with you next time.